Okay, thank you. Whoa. Thank you for being here on a great fall morning. We got the weather to cooperate, and we got the A-team with me right now. Very excited to talk about what we're trying to do. I want to just mention a few names as I start who aren't standing with me, but they're around. First of all, I want to talk about many of our community and labor partners in this work, and to the city workers from so many departments who are really making a difference, not just downtown, but throughout this city. Special members of my team, including Andrew Meyerberg and Sarah Smith, Deputy Mayor Tim Burgess, Natalie Walton Anderson, Leandra Kraft, Michelle Nance, and especially Steve Barnham from IP and Ben Dougherty. I want to thank you because these are folks. I slaughtered Ben's name. I see. Dougherty. Where's Ben? Did I slaughter it? See, got it right the second time. Ben and others do a lot of work behind the scenes, and we thought coming into fall, we just try to recognize some of the great work that goes behind what we do. I want to start with a quote to sort of give the context of why we are here. And again, I want to thank the community leaders for being here. Safety and security are the most basic job of government. That came from our Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, a person that I've had the pleasure of working with for the last 3 years. Safety is the top priority of our administration and has been since day one. I think we've made that clear to the people of Seattle, and that's what they expect. Now, we've made significant strides over the last 3 years. We hear that everywhere we go. But there's so much work to do. And I've said on many occasions, we don't take victory laps when people are sick and dying on the streets. We don't take victory laps when we see some of the egregious violence that we can continue to see in our streets. So today I'm issuing an executive order to guide our actions and define our approach moving forward. First, we are formally establishing the Downtown Activation Team, affectionately known as our DAT. Our pilot is conducted to focus cleanings and connecting people to services working in partnership with the community. And if any of you have ever been involved in sports, in athletics in any way, you know it's always about the team. It's about the team. It's about the team. No one is more important than the team, and the people that are doing this work are clearly the leaders doing this work, so we wanted to recognize them. Second, we are submitting 2 pieces of legislation to the City Council that will help protect the city staff, the contractors, the partners doing this essential restoration work. It will provide flexibility and tools to address illegal street vending and trafficking of stolen goods. Now, what that means is that we actually should have the right to clean our streets uninterfered. That you should not be in harm's way when you are doing this work. That we need to protect you doing this work. And we need to define that. And so this executive order and proposed ordinance clearly defines that. The second piece of the street vending people we are very proud of our legitimate street vendors. We want them to thrive, and we want our residents and tourists to thrive, and this is sort of a cool thing we do in our streets to activate areas. But we also have no tolerance for unlawful, illegal street vending and for people that are skirting around the rules and even participating in the illegal trafficking of goods. No tolerance for that. So these ordinances that we're submitting are intended to define that ill activity and give us the tools to enforce that. Third, we are announcing our restoration framework, which defines our compassionate and coordinated approach to public safety and public health challenges in public spaces. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, I'm sort of the face of the city when it comes to narrating what we're trying to do. And while some of you say, man, that's an ugly face, why you guys laugh at that? Some may say it's a good-looking face. What we have to understand is it is the face of compassion and a humanistic approach to what we're trying to do. That in all the work that we've done in our administration, quite honestly, I hire people that have the same kind of wherewithal to reflect the actions of this team. This team do not wake up every morning with their fists balled, unless we lost a big football game or something. But other than that, they wake up with a passion to help people and clean the streets. So our framework are intended to look at exactly what our plan is, and we've learned from many lessons on what we can do better. And so we've defined for the public consumption and sort of measure with data our framework. The Downtown Activation Team brings together city departments and service providers to coordinate cleaning and restorations, place-based activations, and compassionate responses. The DAT will build on a model of our unified care team. And that is exactly what we learn from and what we can do when we have a unified team working together. It brings dozens of city departments with partners and providers like the Downtown Seattle Association. We'll hear from John Scholes in a minute, our mid-ambassadors who are really a strong part of our team. And I broke bread with them recently, and I have to tell you, they inspire me, and I hope I lend some inspiration to them to realize how they are transforming our city. And we deliver care. Another great example of when community comes together with resources and commitment, what we can do. In practice, SRAs, otherwise known as scheduled restoration actions, include scheduled sidewalk and street cleanings multiple times a day in select areas, environmental changings like street lightings on 3rd Avenue that will soon expand beyond the test block, frequent garbage and trash cleanups. We need to do more to enhance artistic and creative expression in these spaces, building on the success of what you see. Nearly 50 murals that we've painted. We've installed them citywide in the last 2 years. This is a means to activate areas with beauty, with art, artistic expression. We need to stabilize these areas, work with service providers to connect those and help and make arrests when necessary. This is a comprehensive approach which allows us to do this. So elements of this plan and the work of the Downtown Activation Team, you've seen the results. They've already begun. And we are seeing positive early results along 3rd Avenue, which we know we can replicate as we also expand to Chinatown-International District and Little Saigon. We're very intentional about always including that area in our downtown activation plan. Since September, DAT has completed nearly 200 restoration actions downtown and 43.
Stop the sweeps! You're murdering your own constituents! Stop the sweeps!
I hear you. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback.
Stop the sweeps!
Thank you.
Stop killing people!
DAT has completed nearly 200 restoration actions. 200 restoration actions, and 43 in Little Saigon, where we started earlier this month. That means graffiti removals, power washing, and connections to services as we make our public spaces more welcoming to all. Now, we've already seen the projected impacts of that work in the Pike Pine treatment area. A 27% decrease in violent crime. Well, let's clap to that, because I just need some positive reinforcement now that we're doing the right thing. An overall 14 decrease in emergency calls, as well as a 30% decrease in emergency and medical responses compared to last year. I would like to take the moment to acknowledge the horrific stabbings. We all hear you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. You are heard. You are heard. Thank you for your advocacy. Thank you. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the horrific stabbings that occurred last week in Little Saigon. Now, my heart goes out to the victim and their families, and my thanks to our first responders who apprehended the suspect and provided critical care. We have the officer, and it's unfortunate that we have to speak over this young lady, but we have the officer who apprehended the suspect here with us today. Sergeant David Sullivan. Sergeant David Sullivan. Please, let me shake your hand, sir. Sergeant David Sullivan. Ma'am, if you have any decency, you would let us honor this officer. You would let us honor this officer that saved lives yesterday. Thank you very much. Now, Sergeant David Sullivan represents the great work that SPD officers do every single day to keep our neighbors safe. Every single day. thank you, Sergeant Sullivan, for your quick action, for your commitment to the city, and for indeed the lives that you've saved. I also know that the incident commander here is Acting Captain Randy Ward, who's a personal friend. I just want to acknowledge your work and your leadership as well as incident commander, making sure that, again, we are working together as a team. Now, I invited them here today to recognize their bravery and action, to make a point that I hope we all can agree on. There are no easy answers to quick fixes to the challenges. What Sergeant, hey ma'am, I'm not killing anybody, but I'm not killing anyone. I don't do that. I'll keep plowing away, and I thank you for your patience. Thank you. Yeah. The One Seattle Restoration Framework that we're sharing with you today reflects a need for a compassionate and coordinated approach, expanding our definition of safety to reflect the experience of our residents. We have turned around police recruitment, and this becomes very critical. We've turned it around from historic lows and made it quicker and easier to apply. We currently have 16 applicants a day, up less than 6 a day in 2022. An example would be, we are adding the largest number that we have in the first time in years. And for, by the way, anyone interested in earning a $103,000 starting salary plus a signing bonus, go to seattlepolicejobs.com. We've created more response options like launching CARE, or our third public safety department, who so far have responded to nearly 1,000 incidents since launch. And our fire department's Health 99 overdose response team, who responded to 400 calls this year. Now, we are, I was getting used to the silence here for a minute. It just threw me off, actually, forget the silence. Keep going with it. I got the rhythm now. So we are investing in focused place interventions and activations to ensure public spaces are welcoming and accessible to all. This means that when we see disorder and suffering on our streets, we don't ignore it. We work on it. We work with compassion and urgency. So our framework is very simple. Strategies 1 and 2 to reduce gun violence in high-impact crime areas, responding to the most serious and dangerous situations harming families, students, and neighborhoods. Just last month in October, our police department recovered or seized over 150 firearms for over 1,600 last year, or for over 1,600 this year. Now, strategies 3 and 4 to improve emergency and opioid responses and to expand options to de-escalate and get people in crisis help. Now, Seattle is the first city in the country where firefighters and EMTs can administer a new overdose treatment drug that already saving lives. That's the buprenorphine strategies we're doing, in addition to the Noxolone Narcan product that we have been using for people in urgent crisis. Strategies 5 and 6 to activate neighborhoods and engage communities to invest in places where people in most need and connection, with connection to services and focused improvements. Now, our first responders are going to do this incredibly work every single day, and that's what our restoration framework does. So let me close by saying this. Our 13,000 plus employees are all part of this team. And while you see what we're up against, why I listen to what her saying is that is actually the voice of compassion. I place no judgment on what she's arguing for. She's asking us to not kill people and not hurt people. So what she doesn't realize is that she's actually being heard. She doesn't realize she's actually guiding what we do. I'm actually talking to you, ma'am. You want to listen for a minute? You want to listen for a minute, or you just want to talk? So apparently you just want to talk, but I'm going to talk over you. Your words actually resonate with what we're trying to do. Our framework is designed to lead with compassion, but also to be, quite frankly, tough on the bad people that are harming our streets. We will be data-based, we will be compassionate, and we will be strong. As simple as that, and I cannot do it without a strong team with me. So once again, thank you, and community, thank you. This is a home for many. And with that, we are going to introduce John Scholes, President and CEO of Downtown Seattle Association, my friend, and John, we're going to see how you can navigate through the noise here, my brother. All right.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, it wasn't too long ago that we made public policy by listening to the loudest voice. And it resulted in 500 police officers leaving our department. It resulted in response times going beyond our city objective of 7 minutes for priority 1 calls. It resulted in the most people dying on our streets than we've ever seen. It resulted in tents taking over our parks. That's how we made public policy in this town a couple years ago. Thankfully, that's not how we're doing it anymore. Thankfully, we've got a mayor with courage and backbone and conviction to get results, to help people off the streets, to distinguish between those that are out hurting and need help from those that are out hurting other people and need to be held accountable. We can do that in Seattle. For a long time we didn't, and you saw the results. I'm grateful for the mayor's leadership, his compassion, his conviction for creating One Seattle, and for the results we're seeing. Since September, we've seen drug observations and activity and dealing and using in this area cut in half. We've seen a reduction in violent crime. We've seen fewer people suffering on our streets because of the coordination and collaboration and work from the folks behind me and many others that aren't here today. I've been with this association for 16 years. I've been in this role for 10 years. I've never seen the level of coordination, cooperation, and intention to this issue and making this a safe, welcoming, delightful part of our city for everybody. That's what we expect. That's what we deserve. So thank you, Mayor. This is the mayor's One Seattle vision in action. Look at all the folks around here, working together on shared objectives, measuring results. It's not performance. We saw what performance got us. A lot of suffering, a lot of crime. This is about outcomes, and we're seeing outcomes. And I want to say thank you to our team members, the folks you see in yellow and blue and green standing around me. We've increased our cleaning activities over the last couple of months. We're working to bring more art and activation to support small businesses, to bring more businesses into this part of town. This is the lobby of our city. This is everybody's neighborhood. Everybody has the right to come down here and feel safe and delighted, have a great experience, and we are well on our way to delivering that. Thank you, Mayor Harrell, for your leadership, to our council members, to our chief of police, and to other public officials here today. Where did you go, Mayor? Okay. I'm going to turn it over to an incredible leader and small business owner in our community who's about to open a new business just around the corner from us, Jamila Conley.
Thank you, John. Thank you for your remarks. Good morning, everyone. And I want to say, as John said, I'm opening a new business. I'm owner and CEO of We Rise Wines, which is a new wine company focused on bringing community back into downtown while bringing better access and awareness to small producers, small businesses. And I was very intentional in doing this. Prior to that, I worked in tech, and I was a part of the mayor's One Civic Partnership, which was the city partnering with tech companies post-pandemic of how do we bring workers back downtown. And one of the things the mayor said back then was, look, I want to look at strategies to bring people back, get people back engaged in downtown. He said, I wanted to drive more light into downtown. I wanted to bring down the boards. And he did that. The mayor, he delivers on all the promises. And now, as an entrepreneur, when I started this journey, when I was starting to look for real estate, I was very intentional in wanting to be downtown and wanting to continue to be part of that revitalization, even if I was no longer in tech. And I have to say that over the past 6 months from signing my lease, going through construction, I've continued to see downtown become a better and more safer space, that he is cleaning up these streets, and then through the Department of the Office of Economic Development in the city, they're helping small businesses succeed. They're helping small businesses navigate the process. So the rhetoric around the city is hard to work with just isn't true. There are resources to help small businesses. There are resources to help with expediting. And small businesses, they are the backbone of this city. So I just want to say thank you to the mayor for continuing to practice what you preach, seeing those results, and helping small businesses thrive in this community. And we're definitely getting there. And thank you to the Downtown Seattle Association for all that it's doing. It's been incredible to already be a part of this community in downtown, and I'm excited to grow and thrive and continue to help this community build itself back up. So to everyone in Seattle, thank you for sticking with us as we go through this change. And I'm going to welcome Jacqueline to the mic.
Thank you. I cannot follow. I have to read my notes because I'm nervous as heck here today. My name is Jacqueline, and I've had the privilege of calling Little Saigon my home, and for the past 3 years. And I'm also honored to serve the Chinatown-International District Public Safety Council. Sorry. Can you hear me? Okay. So anyways, a responsibility I take very seriously as part of the Public Safety Council. I've been with them for almost 2 years, and it's great to be in that. I'm stuck. I'm so sorry. Because I'm a runner. Okay, I'm not going to read my notes anymore because it's throwing me off. So basically, I'm a runner, and I run around the International District, Little Saigon. And I run at night. I even have SPD think I'm crazy running at night. But for me, I see them. It's my community. I don't want to be afraid. Okay, I run during the day. I run during the night. As I run through the city, Little Saigon, when the light was turned off underneath the freeway, I talked to my public safety council. The next day, the lights were on. So I think what makes a real difference with me being a public safety council is I learned we hear. I'm the voice of the community, but you know what? We all need to be heard. And I think basically what I'm trying to say is it's our community. Everyone needs to know they hear us. And that's what I've learned being in this council is they really hear our voices. And if I'm the one that needs to do that, heck, I will do that. And so I've learned a lot. I've subscribed to so many newsletters in the city of Seattle, and that's how I've learned that everything is happening. It can't happen overnight, but it's there. And we know what happened last week with all the stabbings. You know, it's scary, but that's something that we see that we are working on, okay? But you know what I've seen in the couple of weeks? I've seen the city being cleaned. And I thank everyone here for doing that. I've never seen the street go, oh wow, how clean it is. So we are working, you know, city, everyone here behind me, and it's great. Like I said, before being in the council, I didn't even know that was happening. But there is so much happening around here, and I'm very thankful for being here today. I didn't read my notes. I probably didn't say whatever I needed to say, but what I'm saying today comes from my heart. But thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Simone Walcott, and I'm the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion, otherwise known as Lead Project Manager for Downtown Seattle, and I have a special focus if we're in the 3rd Avenue Project. The 3rd Avenue Project is a partnership between the city's Human Services Department, We Deliver Care, Lead Case Management at REACH, as well as the Purpose Dignity Action Project Management and Data Team. Over the past 2 years, the 3rd Avenue Project, otherwise known as TAP, has been providing de-escalation and milieu management service to the Oh, I need to be louder? Oh, I can be louder. Is this better? All right, awesome. Thank you. All right, so over the past 2 years, the Third Avenue Project, otherwise known as TAP, has been providing de-escalation and milieu management services to the Upper Third Avenue corridor. They've done this work by deploying We Deliver Care's skilled safety team. They operate 15 and a half hours a day, every day of the year, to meet the needs of the community. Along with their average milieu management duties, they also respond to phone calls from businesses who would like assistance with specific challenges that they're encountering. My notes are frozen. There we go. So community feedback for this project has been really, really important. So we survey businesses in the TAP area monthly, just to gauge their satisfaction. And while satisfaction remains high with the Third Avenue project itself, people who live and people who work in Upper Third Avenue are still saying we need more. We need more resources and we need more help in this area to make a larger impact. So a key aspect of WDC's work is building deep connections with the individuals who are frequently present in this area. Over the past 2 years, they've created this by name list, and currently we have over 1,400 unique individuals on that list that are frequently in Third Avenue and have had significant impact on the neighborhood. Along with that work, as they're meeting people, they're also getting information about most of these individuals' unique needs and circumstances. And so it's because of these efforts, and this is really cool, that for the first time, the city now has a clear picture of the number of people and the depth of the need that's been feeding into the dynamics that we've been seeing in Third Avenue for years. And it's with this data that WDC refers individuals that have the most sustained impact to lead for long-term case management. And as a result, our lead case managers at this time have placed 50 people into either temporary shelter in co-lead or permanent housing through the King County Regional Homelessness Authority. And that being said, it's really important to acknowledge that the amount of shelter and housing resources that we've had access to is far from sufficient to meet the scope of the need. Many more individuals in the community still need help. And so LEAD will continue to provide case management to individuals initially encountered in the Third Avenue area, even if they end up moving to other parts of the city as the neighborhood evolves under the Downtown Activation Plan. And we just want to say we deeply appreciate the city's approach to continuing to prioritize the complex needs of the populations that we serve, even if they're less frequently seen in this area. And we remain dedicated to using the data and relationships that we've cultivated through the Third Avenue project to accomplish that work. Thank you.
Thank you, Simone. Thank you, Simone, John, Jamila, Jacqueline, for your teamwork, and thank you for my team. The one thing we knew when we have press conferences like this outside, that you run some level of risk. I just hope that you heard something that I said, because it was a good speech if you missed it. It was loaded with data and inspiration. In fact, I'm going to repeat it. No, I'm not going to repeat it. But I will repeat my thanks for all of you. I have my chiefs here, our team here, police, care, community, compassion, love. And my father told me a long time ago, he said, son, if you have a good team with you, you can move mountains. And I have a good team with me, so thank all of you for being there. And with that, we will take some Q&A, I believe. And Jamie, could you help me out a little bit? He's the teacher. I'll let him call on the students. Go ahead, Jamie.
Mayor Harrell, do you connect the reduction in disorder downtown with the increase in disorder on 12th and Jackson? And if your plan is to expand the same tactics you use downtown to Little Saigon, then where are you expecting people to go after that?
Yes, very good question. And I'll try to repeat the question and the answer so people who didn't hear your question. There is a connection between some of the work we're doing downtown and how it affects Little Saigon. I think the data would suggest that. I actually have some data to look at the number of scheduled restoration actions that we do here, that we're doing there. And let me pull a data point that I want to share with you as I answer your question directly. We've completed 200 restoration actions downtown and 43 in Little Saigon. The fact of the matter is that some people who are trying to find their way, and sometimes that way could be involved with drug trafficking or drug use, they can migrate up to Little Saigon. And we include that in our plan. And so what we're trying to do is, again, coordinate our efforts on treatment. Even people that are sick and unhealthy and that are killing themselves with drugs, they sometimes have a need to recreate, to talk to people. They are still human beings. So our approach in a very integrated way is to make sure that they have the right to clean the area. We can't interfere with that. But we want to coordinate with the great work that LEAD are doing and with We Deliver Care, our treatment providers, and our health department and the county. The county has a role here. They run the health department. They have a role in what we're trying to do, and you're seeing increased efforts from the county in this approach. So where they will go will be sometimes dependent upon them. Some of them will be arrested. Make no mistake about that. We are making arrests. Some of them will get treatment. So I use an acronym in my office sometimes. It's called ACT. We have to act, ACT. We may have to arrest, we have to clean, and we have to treat. You arrest bad people, you clean dirty areas, and you treat sick people. So what you will see are people getting treated aggressively. But we also want to make sure that we don't have tolerance for unsafe conditions and unclean conditions. And so, but to answer your question directly, certainly there's a correlation. We know by name where people are and where they're going. So we're enhancing our efforts. We're putting a framework together to address it, and it is working.
Go to Mark and then Louis.
So, sure. So the question is this a game of displacement? I don't use this term, but people say whack-a-mole or something like that, right? So let's just get it out there. You know, I'm a very transparent mayor. No, it's not. It's a game of aggressive treatment and disrupting activity. We have to be disruptors. Now, having said that, this problem was not created overnight. I used to walk these streets. Well, I don't want to tell you my age. I used to walk these streets a long time ago. I'll just put it that way. That this epidemic of fentanyl, this is a new situation that Americans are dealing with in this country. So we have to disrupt. Pray, 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 pray. Okay. That would have been a shot. Okay, and now they're circling back. Okay. To some extent, we have to disrupt, and we have to have the right policies. And yes, there could be some displacement. Yes, people have, but I've said, and I will continue to say this, even people who are sick have a desire and a right to recreate, to be somewhere. So if someone's just standing around in between what they're doing, we have to be smarter to figure out what can they do to recreate. These are not people that I hate, contrary to some yelling, that I know a lot of these folks personally. These are people I grew up with in the Central District back in the 60s. So we will disrupt. We will treat. All hands on deck, and that's why our partnership with the county becomes critically clear from a health perspective.
Go to Louis and then Denise.
Mayor, I requested data from the Seattle Police Department, and it said that crime in CID is more consistent throughout the year compared to other parts of the city where it tends to vary depending on the season. A lot of businesses and residents tell me that they feel overlooked. How many resources will you have in CID throughout the year? And will there be resources to translate? Because oftentimes I hear from residents and business owners that there's a language barrier and they feel overlooked as well. They're not getting the help that they need in the city.
Very good. So the question is Chinatown-International District, feeling overlooked, not getting some of the resources that they are demanding. First of all, I think many of you know, I grew up with family right there my entire life in the Chinatown-International District. It's very personal to me, having played there as a kid and looking at the flower shops that my mother's sisters own and my uncles own. You are right that they deserve more resources, and that is exactly why we are including in our very intentional outreach strategies more resources in Chinatown, Little Saigon area. We opened up a park there, and we had to make some adjustments because bad actors had come to the park. So what you're going to see in our framework and in our executive order will be increased activity, increased resources, increased focus on the Chinatown-International District. And as I said, the effect of what we're doing downtown and how it affects the Chinatown-International District, my team, many of whom are here right now, monitor that on a daily activity, literally going up there to see by name who's going where, such that we can adjust our strategy. So we will continue to double down on what we're trying to do in Chinatown International District because they certainly deserve it, and that's consistent with my love for that particular part of the town given my personal history.
Mayor, in terms of sustainability,
Yes.
in terms of making arrests, the number of arrests that can be made, whether or not these are being booked into the jail, is all of this really sustainable with the resources that the city has?
Yes, it is a question of sustainability, and the question is yes. And so, again, if you look at, and that's why we drafted the framework. If you look at even gun violence, what we're trying to achieve. When we announced many months ago, we were negotiating another jail, for example, in Des Moines, because we're looking at what we had to do when we have to make pray. Okay, that always scares the mayor when pigeons are flying over. We had to come to the realization that we have to be able to book some people to clean up our streets and get people sometimes treatment even. And now we're very pleased with the agreement we did reach finally with the county to increase the number of beds to 135. And we have excess capacity even if we still need it at Des Moines. So we believe we've set up the framework and the policies for it to be sustainable. The city council right now, I don't know if I have any city council members here. I do not have any oh, they're literally doing the budget now. I'm very happy that they are aligned with what we're doing from a public safety perspective. And so we think that we proposed a budget that's sustainable. We have the right contracts in place, and I know I have the right team in place. So between teamwork, resources that are in the budget, and policies that we're changing through the executive order, this is sustainable. And quite honestly, that's the whole purpose of the framework. Policing, and I'm going to stay in my lane a little bit, Captain Ward here, but policing sometimes is reactionary. You have to react to what happens. And we saw, as I mentioned earlier, from the sergeant, what happens when you act well. But you also have to be strategic, and you have to have a place-based approach. The SRA's scheduled restoration actions are a means to let everyone know, oh, we're cleaning up the area. We're going to do our job. So we think this is sustainable and it's a smart approach, and quite candidly, the data would show that it works.
I wonder if you could just say a little bit more about the pilot project specifically. What is specifically is possible will the DAT do that is different from the status quo?
Yeah. I'm going to see if any of my teammates wanted to help me on this. So the question is the DAT, could you talk a little bit about the pilot and whether it's sustainable and how do we think it will play out? And anyone named Natalie Walton Anderson could come up if you so have that name. Could you share little words about the sustainability? And many don't know your title and who you are, so please, and your background, you could just hum a few bars if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon. Thank you for the question. My name is Natalie Walton Anderson, and I am the Director of Public Safety, serving under Mayor Harrell. My background, I've been a career prosecutor for 18 years. I worked at King County as U.S. Attorney's Office and the City of Seattle as the criminal chief. And I just joined the mayor's great team about 5 months ago. In terms of your specific question, sir, and I'm sorry, you said what would be different about the downtown activation team? Well, first of all, I think this team behind us are doing coordinated efforts together. So we're utilizing existing resources in terms of litter abatement, alley flushings, power washing, and cleaning of the streets alongside with SPD to provide safety and security for our city teams to do their work. We've been doing that in 3rd Pike and Pine since the first week of September, and we've started the work in Little Saigon as of November 1st. So with that, we are utilizing the existing resources in a coordinated way, and we're really excited to bring on our community partners that are here standing again. We deliver care, lead, and reach to coordinate those services to make sure that as we are doing these scheduled restoration actions, that we are also coordinating the treatment that is very much needed to get to the underlying root of some of the issues that are present.
Thank you. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you. Yeah, the question is, sorry. The question is, so calling it a pilot gives us the ability to learn from it and test new strategies. And so we did not put a firm deadline on whether we'll stop the pilot in 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. We're going to make those decisions. We're going to let the data lead us to where we need to go on that. And that's why we involve a group, our innovation and performance team. Now that's a team that monitors what we do and uses data. And so once we've concluded that we should end the pilot and make tweaks and make it permanent, I'll make that decision and we'll make that next year. Yes.
Well, wouldn't you run the risk if you're looking at data and the data looks great and you scale back?
Yeah, no, so that's not what we would do. We would, again, the budget we proposed assumed that the pilot would convert to permanent work. An example would be in the executive order is that leaders doing some phenomenal work. We Deliver Care doing phenomenal work. But I know we collectively as a team could do better. I want everyone to know each other. So when we get, and this is one of the challenges that mayors have. I recently talked to the newly elected mayor of San Francisco, the newly elected mayor of Portland, and I talked to a lot of mayors. One of the challenges they have a lot of teams, they have a lot of people, but they're not working together as one. So this is a lot of intense work. There's a lot of behind the scenes meetings. They don't just wake up and they're not random and reactionary. So a lot of it's not necessarily budget or resource allocation, it is coordination. And that's what a good mayor does. And so it is sustainable. And again, we will look at the data, but our goal is not to pull back on anything. Quite frankly, is to use our resources wisely and be aggressive in what we do. So I don't see us pulling back at all. I'm very pleased with what we're seeing thus far. And quite honestly, that's why we took our time on the framework to do it right. And we issued this executive order at the time we thought appropriate. But I look forward to working with our innovation and performance team to look at how we measure our progress.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very, very much for being here. Appreciate it. Thank the pigeons for flying overhead, and most importantly, thank you, team. Thank you, team. Thank you very much.